Alright, welcome back to another SegWeather video. We're back with your forecast for your Tuesday, August 11th of 2026. We're going to go ahead and dive into it as we have a lot to talk about this morning. Starting off with a complex of storms moving through parts of the Midwest and then also another one here in parts of Iowa. You can see it's quite active this morning along those areas, as I mentioned, with that ring of fire pattern already taking hold. And you can already see again, it's already producing those line of storms one after another, moving through the same areas. And this is all in connection to the stationary front that's sitting over much of the upper plains into parts of the Midwest. And this front is acting as a boundary, breaking those line of storms into those areas as each low pressure kind of rides along that boundary. So if for anyone along this area, get ready because this is the first of many rounds of storms that will be coming through over the next several days. Now, looking at the current watches and warnings right now, we do have a heat advisory in place for much of the mid section of the nation into the Midwest. The oranges indicate heat advisories, values over 100 being possible, and then the dark pinks indicate extreme heat warnings, which means values over 105 being possible at this time. And then notice the Midwest, this dark green blob is flood watches in place, meaning potential for 2 inches of rain or more, and that'll be from the storms that occur today and even for tomorrow as well. Expecting a very stormy setup for this area. And notice all the oranges; those are severe thunderstorm warnings. That's in place for a lot of these areas where the storms are ongoing. And then this is a flash flood advisory in place for the storm chances that already moved through. So kind of a lot of mixed colors within this dark green area, and then southwest corner of the U.S. another flood watch in place, and then upper northwest looking at those air quality alerts still in place for your day today due to those fires, and then the red flag warning in place due to the low humidity and hot, dry conditions to fuel more fires to take place as well. So watching all of that for your Tuesday morning. Now we jump into the severe weather threat, which looks pretty significant at this time. We do have up to an enhanced risk for some strong thunderstorms, especially over Illinois, much of Indiana, Ohio, into Kentucky, watching out for several complexes of storms to move through these areas as we head throughout the course of your day. And then behind that, slight risk surrounding those areas from the Midwest going into parts of the towards the mid-Atlantic, and then another area here in parts of the upper plains, and then the marginal risk surrounding all of that for much of the surrounding areas as well. Now, looking at our tornado risk, we do have only a slight chance, looking at only a 2% risk, so just a small chance for a couple tornadoes being possible. We're already having a report of tornado warning in parts of eastern Indiana this morning that occurred. Luckily, nothing has formed from it, just a falling cloud. But again, as we have throughout your day today, we could see more. Damage wind threat looks to be the most significant this time, which is why we have that enhanced risk in place. As with the damaging wind threat, we're up to a 30% chance of strong winds being possible, which means winds in excess of 70 miles per hour are possible, especially within this hatched risk zone. That's where we have the higher potential for seeing strong wind gusts over 70, maybe up to 80 miles per hour being possible. So if you are in this highlighted area, in this hatched risk zone, I'll be in high alert for that today. And then a smaller risk out towards the west for hail risk, looking at up to 50% risk, but not so much for the Midwest. As again, this area it will mainly be a wind event. Compared to out here, it'll be much more of a hail event that'll be taking place. Now, between now and later on tonight, we do expect again those complexes of storms to be moving across much of the Midwest into the interior Northeast as we progress throughout your day. So a stormy setup for a lot of these areas. If we're going to be traveling on the roads, especially from Minnesota going into, let's say, Pennsylvania, I'll be in high alert as these rounds of storms will be ongoing throughout the course of your day. So make sure you have a radar downloaded on your app, a way to get watches and warnings, and also even your no radio, because these storms will be coming in pretty fast from time to time. And then meanwhile, out to our southwest, some isolated shower storm chances will be possible as you head throughout your day today. Now, looking at tonight, we do expect those storm chances to continue to remain in the picture. Some strong storms still ongoing across parts of the Midwest, parts of the upper plains as well. Some areas of the Northeast could see some storms as well. and then southwest maybe a few shower storm chances early on before they dissipate later on in the night. Now, looking at this ring of fire pattern, excuse me, we do expect this pattern to remain in place throughout the course of this week until Sunday. So, unfortunately, again, the pattern we're currently in, we're seeing those complexes of storms. If you're already tired of the storms, unfortunately, several more days. In fact, we may not break this pattern until Sunday, August 16th, where we'll finally get our final system to move through and end this pattern and finally bring us back to much more of a normal set pattern. But until then, expecting those storm complexes to be around that ridge to fire up through about then. That heat remaining to our south, meaning hot temperatures likely for a lot of these areas, including Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri. All those places will be seeing those hot temperatures throughout that time frame. Now, looking at temperature wise, though, we do expect temperatures in the 90s to 100s for much of this area over here. So, looking at a very hot day. Outside of that, Midwest temperatures in the 80s, some 70s due to those storms moving through, some rain, cold air. Temperatures in the 70s to lower 80s across the upper Northeast. Temperatures in the 90s for the Southeast, Southwest temperatures in the hundreds to 110s, and then the Northwest temperatures 80s to 90s, maybe a couple 70s thrown in there as well. And then dew point wise, anything over 60 is considered humid, and you can see Midwest, the bullseye for where that humidity is going to be quite strong, meaning lots of instability, lots of moisture to fuel these storms to continue on, as a lot of this is running into that stationary front, which is just sitting there. And the more moisture that runs into the front, the stronger the storms are going to be, and that's why we have that risk for severe weather for again a lot of the Midwest today, because all that moisture is fueling the threat. Now, looking at the fire risk, still a elevated risk for fires possible for the Northwest into parts of the plains. Seeing that again for your day today. And then looking at this afternoon to this evening, with those skies remain quite hazy across the Pacific Northwest into the plains, and then looking at another band of it stretching into parts of the Midwest as we head throughout your day. Looking at a little more in the way of action, as some of the smoke will get lofted here, but a lot of this will be kind of swept away by the storm chances, which is good news. But again, it's only if we get the storms. If we don't get the storms, let's say in Illinois, then that would mean we'll get some of the smoke here. But if we do get the rain, then this will be pretty much warded off to gosh knows where. But in the meantime, do expect that smoke to be quite thick again across the Northwest, and meanwhile elsewhere, some little bit of haze in the Midwest to Northeast. But that's it for this update. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like. And if you want to see more of this content, don't forget to subscribe to always get updated on whenever I post a video on this channel. Have a great day and stay weather aware.